information that we have as a department. And also to report the good work that the department is doing, the good work that government is generally doing, and also share our challenges with the media so that they must also understand the situation under which we operate. Some of the challenges might be financial challenges and other challenges. So, like I said, you are an important stakeholder, more especially that we are getting into this important project, which is a provincial project. Yeah, Mahikeng. I recognize a lot of media house here, and I think as and when we engage or interact, because I don't have a list of them here, they will introduce themselves. But I've recognized Mavato FM, Mahikeng FM, UFM, SABC. I'm not saying Motsweding, I'm saying SABC. Ntate Achi. I recognize a lot of print media. Baba mpatlang ka di light tsa bone tse. So you are busy doing your work. We appreciate that. So ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. Before we start, I just want to indicate to you that on my right hand side, Renality bathroom Zarona Tabo Meli Bontate, me adiklakanelwe. So we don't have the showers, we just have the bathroom, no showers this side. So we'll use this side, Hari Tlokahoya, to the bathrooms. So without wasting any time, ladies and gentlemen, I can see Ramona Kung, and we appreciate that. And we also think that we will be also cognizance of the time, because I'm sure HOD, the president as well, is going to announce Mahikeng this evening in the State of the Nation address. Tomorrow, yes, we have given him our input that we are hosting a very big event called Mahikeng. Thank you very much. Without any waste of time, I'm going to call the HOD of the department, Ntate Itumele Mokhorosi, just to give us the purpose, why are we gathered here. Ntate Mokhorosi, thank you.
A very good morning to all stakeholders present today. As introduced, I'm Itumele Mokhorosi. I'm the head of Department for Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation. I think I'm still new. I joined the department in October last year. This is effectively my 5th month. And I made an undertaking that I'm going to hit the ground running as the accounting officer. And evidently, I think we can see, we hosted Fill Up in December, we are bringing back Mahikeng. I'm going to do part of your work and also announce that we will be hosting the Northwest Sports Awards on the 25th of February in Sun City, where we'll recognize and appreciate the work that has been done by the sportsmen and women of this province. I want to appreciate all sectors that are present here in all the protocols observed. I thought it's very necessary that we convene this type of gathering in the main I hear the sound is a bit bad, I hope I'm audible. In the main, to communicate officially the appointment of a service provider to render events management services for the Mahikeng project program for a period of 3 years. All present would note that last year we had to take a policy decision to postpone the hosting of this program in December due to what we had reported at the time, and we're happy to announce that we had re-advertised the tender, which we have successfully awarded. We ran a very clean bid opening process. We ran a very clean bid compliance check process, which was done by a bid specification committee. We ran a clean bid evaluation process, an evaluation committee which was comprised of members not only from the department, but composed of members who are experienced from various provincial departments, for reasons that we wanted to ensure that there's transparency and proper accountability and avoid any possible malfeasance into processes. We also concluded an adjudication process, which was also the committee comprised of members also from outside ACSR who occupy senior positions in government, so that we protect the integrity of the process. And when the evaluation and the adjudication completed their work after due consideration as the accounting officer, I then referred the bid for a review by an independent institution called Provincial Internal Audit, which is located in Provincial Treasury. They provide assurance services. They are called assurance providers. They don't do forensic investigation necessarily in this context. We referred the bid to them for them to, from an auditing accounting perspective, assess whether the department has done things in accordance with the provisions of supply chain management regulations and processes as provided for in section 217 of the Constitution, read with section 38 of the PFMA and Treasury regulations. And the internal audit gave us a report, and we have the comfort that based on the extensive work that we did, a decision that we have taken is appropriate, it is legal, it complies in all material respects. And from that independent review, we then took a decision and we announced the appointment of Megaworks, popularly known as Showtime, as our events manager for this event, which is our flagship program. They duly accepted last week, and they have signed an SLA. They are busy with a project plan as we speak to plan for the rollout of the project under very stringent time, as we know that we are running towards the end of the financial year in March. And we envisage hosting a very successful Mahikeng with all your support. I must also hasten to indicate that if and when there are those who might not agree with us that we did not do things accordingly, bidders reserve the right to appropriate any institution that is legally established to file either a complaint or take our decision on review. But until that is done or has happened, or our decision is set aside by a court of law or declared invalid, this award remains valid. And we encourage all those who had bidded to accept the outcome, but if they don't, let us rather follow a due process of the law to challenge a decision if we desire to do so. We do not want to see ugly scenes of protests that are linked to an award which cannot be set aside by a protest. Only a court of law can do so, or an investigation by a Chapter 9 institution established in terms of the Constitution. This is basic information, but I thought it's very necessary, because if government does not communicate, there are others who will communicate wrong things on our behalf, unmandated. So I hope this part is sufficiently explained, that a decision has been taken and it will remain valid and binding until an alternate decision is arrived at by an institution which is legally established to look at the review of such matters with. I think what is left for us as stakeholders is to coordinate the implementation and ensure that we successfully host Mahikeng. The service provider will, in due course, working with ourselves, communicate a process in which the department will monitor to ensure that opportunities for local procurement are provided to local service providers who have capability and competency to render various services. It's not something that must be discussed or debated. It's not optional, but rather mandatory that there should be local beneficiation by those that are having the necessary skills for the service that will be required. It's not something I will handle here and now, but we will allow the appointed bidder to lead that process. I believe there will be notices that are issued out for various services, and we encourage all those who are having the necessary skills and competence to address that process at a time that it will be announced. Last week, Friday, we hosted in this same venue different government departments, municipalities, local municipality. We invited them to this briefing to brief them because this is a government program. Different from others, Mahikeng is a government program. And we address those stakeholders because we all have various responsibilities. The local municipality must assist us in terms of their responsibilities, in terms of their mandate, the district, the water must be available during the day of the eventing. If not, what measures must be put in place? And we have agreed with all stakeholders that everybody would have to pull through to ensure that this event becomes a success. And I've seen civil society present here today. We also want to appeal to our community members to give this program support. It is public knowledge that in the past 2-3 years, this program could not be hosted. With the outbreak of COVID-19 in 2020 and the declaration of the disaster by the presidents, we all know that regulations were imposed and such programs were suspended. And on the basis of that pronouncement of the regulations relating to disaster, the program was suspended and the budget was reprioritized towards COVID-19 funding and other areas of pressures. A year before last, the department also did not host Mahikeng owing to state of readiness, and the budget for the program was reprioritized to funding of artists. I hope in this room there should be somebody raising their hand to say I was funded in that process. When Mahikeng was not held, this money was disbursed to various arts organizations or individuals as part of the support towards recovery from COVID-19 impact. And why I am explaining such is that in an ordinary government setting, when there is no performance in delivery and based on government priorities, the budget for Mahikeng has changed over the years. They pay 30 million budget in one financial year, and it started dwindling or declining. In the current year, we've got 10.5 million to host this event. Why it is necessary to explain it is because we are going to draw comparison between a 2018 or 2019 30 million event with a 2023 10 million event and start drawing conclusions, probably sometimes incorrectly, just for noting that on the basis of the decline in budget, which I intend as accounting officer to substantively lobby and request more financial support so that we can take the program back to its glory in the days when it was sufficiently funded. So for the current financial year, the department has got 10.5 million, and that 10.5 million is allocated over the medium-term expenditure framework. For those who don't work in government, it's over a 3-year period, the 10.5 million, increasing very nominally, 10.5, I think 10.8 and 11 million. But we also do receive a supplementary budget from the National Department of arts, sports, arts and culture. Because it is a provincial flagship program, they also support it over a period of 3 years. That's one aspect which I thought it's very necessary that we, for the purpose of proper communication and avoiding those that are preoccupied driving a narrative narration that is aimed at attaining specific objectives other than our objectives, that we give this clarity in this gathering. The other important aspect is that we will host a media launch. Today we're just doing a briefing on the appointment and the processes that we undertook. And in the media launch that we are going to be doing very soon, as I said, the service provider has just signed the SLA. We will outline in detail the project plan. In the media launch, we'll provide media packs in terms of the programming. Hopefully, we would have finalized the lineup, because I said to them, the first advert should be out next week, where we start communicating the lineup so that we can start preoccupying the content of the media space with that. We will also announce the district activations. Mahikeng, as we know, it's a provincial event hosted in Mahikeng. It's not a Mahikeng event. There will be various activations in various districts, which will also duly communicate the dates and the venues, precisely because, as we know, it's not everybody who would get a stage to perform at the main event, and those artists that are in the district will therefore be provided with a platform to participate at the local level. We want to use this event to also maximize creation of work opportunities, circulation of possible income to those that will be lining up themselves, either to render businesses, business services, and or as independent business people who may require to come and set up a stall and start selling around. We will also be working with economic development as part of marketing and promoting Northwest, that we communicate extensively, because we know that events of this magnitude, they've got a huge impact on the economy, they've got a huge impact on the livelihood of the citizens of the province. And I believe with those few words, I have covered substantively what we thought from my own introductory note. We will be hosting Mahikeng on the 17th to the 19th of March 2023. You would note a small date shift from the initial date that we had set in December. We want to capitalize on the possible long weekend that will be following that date. There's a holiday, and there's a 20th, which is not a holiday. So we want to capitalize, because some of the possible attendees could take Monday as leave and be able to attend our festivities over this long weekend period. And I'm stating it for the record that is why we had to review a date to look at trying to maximize participation and attendance, even by those that are outside the province, targeting that weekend because it's a very strategic weekend. My purpose was not to deal with the presentation. That might be well at very high level for the benefit of those that might not have been bidders, that might not have had sight of a bid document, just to explain the sequence of the programs that are part of the bid and the activities just at the high level, so that members of the community understand that it's not a one-day event. It has got a plethora of activities taking over different time intervals. Program Director, with your indulgence, can you around that Demabi to run that specific part of the program, and then you take over your responsibilities from there. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, HOD, for the good presentation. Simple, straightforward. Re tla tla re tlhalosa ka Setswana gore re ska ra heleletsa ile gore re dirisa mahoko a mangwe re a hetola a ba sa nne ka mokgo HOD na ba ka teng. Let me welcome those who have just arrived. We have already started. We are having a very, very short program because like the HOD has said, our responsibility was just to come and brief you. Let me recognize our foundation, which is Mabana. They are present here. Also recognize the Office of the Premier that have just arrived with a big light. So you are welcome. Everybody is welcome here today, ladies and gentlemen. Ntate Mabe is going to make a presentation. After Ntate Mabe, we are going to have questions and answers. Your opportunity will come at that time. I think Ntate Mabe will be the last person to make a presentation, unless there's anything that we may request our technical manager, Ntate Jobeta, to add on. Ntate Mabe, I think you are ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Ntate Seboletwe, HOD, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your presence. I'm just going to give the proposed festival format. As indicated, it will be impactful from the 17th, from the 19th, but the plan is to start with exhibitions, craft exhibitions, stalls and everything from the 13th. In other words, from the 13th there will be a setup. The intention is to use the convention center parking area where various businesses and enterprises would want to make exhibitions can do, with a stage which will be more of a free for all. But otherwise, for this segment of March, we are not going to have a parade that we normally have throughout town, but we will definitely have an event at Khotla, Barolombo Ratsidi, on the 17th in the morning, and the parade will then start from Barolombo Ratsidi Khotla to the convention center to kickstart the festival. So basically the elements, we would still have theatrical productions. We'll have an indoor gospel show. This time around, ensuring that clap and tap is there as well. We will have a youth-focused program. Others call it hip-hop, motswako, and so on. We will have the main jazz festival on the last day, which is a Sunday. And we are expecting to also have a low-scale film screening alongside the theatrical performances. So basically that is that. Otherwise, as the HOD has indicated, there will be a proper media launch once agreements and contracts have been signed with various performers and so on. The media launch will then be kick-started, and the adverts will start rolling. I hope I have covered what I was expected to do. Thank you.
So thank you very much. You've got television and radio. Thank you very much, Ntate Mabe. I think so far we're doing fine. Ntate Jobeta, are you okay? All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now Rizena more that part. We know there are questions. The panel is here to answer all the questions that will come from the floor. Procedurally, you will introduce yourself. Do we have a mic, Potesh? You introduce yourself and you tell us from which media house do you come from. If you are a community member representing whoever, whatever, identify yourself. You will be given an opportunity to can ask. Potesh, I recognize the first hand. Tate Molusankwe, second. Third one. Tate Komorago with the red cap, is the third one. I'll take 5 hands for the first round. UFM, number 4. The last one, the first round.
No, number 5.
Oh, number 5, Maje. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sebulesu. Lina naka ken na ga pa le lobelo. Ke modula silo wa the Northwest Amalgamated Business Forums. Ke dula teng mo Mahikeng mo. Ke a go simolla ka go dira boikuelo. Submission before you, the HOD of the department. Re kopa gore let your office be responsive. I'm saying this because we have wrote numerous letters to your office, and Tate Motlarile can bear witness to that. I think Tate Mabe knows that at some point, but it's fine. I must say, we welcome the appointment, of course, the service provider. But our local service providers, as you've already alluded, benefit out of this program. Department benefit mo. Service provider will identify about normally. And I'm happy to say that we appreciate the fact that at least it's an in-house arrangement. The service provider is from our province. We appreciate that move from the department. But lastly, ya ke dumela gore ke tla nna mokhutswane go fitlhella fa ra leboga.
Go monate go bua morago ga kgosi. A ke tsena go le dumedisa lotlhe ba gaetso. Ke Thato Molosankwe. Ke tlaga go Morethetho Entertainment. Ntlele Morethetho Entertainment ke social activist rata Mahikeng thata go le heta lotlhe. Ndelo senya nako. Service provider ba gaetso isiame re utlwile gore ke mang mme ke tla tlhagisa matshwenyego a ka nna a leng gore ga ke a itumela gotlhelele ha re ka tla go sheba gore service provider o hiwa ditiro ga kae across the province when other upcoming business young people are not granted chance to grow. And then abudike wa ntsebeletsa re capacity o bua sentle capacity, but the same service provider did not start ka everything ya nang le yone today. O startile ko tlase a fiwa mmereko, and then ha tsena mo leveling the specifications di feletsa di diriwa go suita ene. That is so unfair. Ha re ka tla go shebelela gore I'm not ha ke tlo go bua ke tshaba batho ba ngaka modiri molema. How many events do we have mo ngaka modiri molema? And there are other events tse leng gore di diriwa ko bo Klerksdorp ko bo Rustenburg ko bo Taung ene bana ba Mahikeng bone ba tswalelwa ko ntle in such events. That is not fair. So the other thing gape ke batlang go e raise ke monopoly ba gaetso. South Africa go na le problem ya monopoly. That's what monopoly capital. And ga go tloa mo go rona gape go nna go monopolizeiwa gape go tsewa same people giving mereko gangwe gabedi gararo. Gore motho a kgone go hitlella that capacity o ko tlase wa go empower leng. Bofelo winner takes all. It's wrong, bagaetso. It's wrong. What is important? Service provider, yes. Facebook guy busy. Nale gat follow ne re khamane maloba ka tsone dio tseo. Bonnete ke gore bagaetso ha go tla go shebua catering. Service provider we itseng ka catering. Why can't you have a contract e dealang ka motho wa catering a khone go ibitela ene ka catering? Wa security a khone go ibitela ene ka security. Hela jalo le jalo. E senya no service provider a tla go fiwa kuku cake yotlhe bo gote a re ngathela di tsutlele a di tsutlele. O tla go founela his own people. Le nna tota ke hiwa ke a re e mona ke hilo contract tlaya. So that one bagaetso nna ke batla go bua maka ne ke batla go clear something hello service provider e temfa. But about spread and the news, it's I'm against the service provider. I'm not against the service provider. I'm against the system. I keep on benefiting again and again and again. Obviously, only kickbacks. We can't prove those. So I'm not going to fight Mahikeng Bagetsu. We know the concept. Simply because only as a register the concept. It's how I do like it may so that we go forward. Ya dula. Kyaleboga ya dula Mahikeng ya dula.
Last bite ne. Look, ntlhaena ya chelete leaders it's a worrying fact. Ya gore chelete ile ko tlase on this award. I mean hari tumelle so seo. I mean we are aware gore there are some challenges but re tla re fela ra mogela maiteko a lona ka lefapha gore at least ga ya kra roll over le gonne go commit but in future we're making a submission ya gore at least chelete ena e kgonne gore le budget le sentle create chelete e siame so that e kgonne go assist batho ba rona ba bantsinyana ke a leboga mare la bofelo ntate service provider or delegation re kopa gore gona le batho ba tlang di chance takers sa gore no ba tswa mo ba go bua on our behalf ba kopana le on using our names of course gore no wa itse then I will speak to them re ka tumela thata e ka ska ya nna mara ka itumela thata ga ba gaetso ba ba leng ba rona ba ka benefita mo le ska nna batho ba leng close ba ba dirisang proximity ya bone le ene botlhaso ka mabitso a rona re ka itumela thata batho ba ka nna batho ba leng gore ke ba gaetso but would like the department to facilitate that process as well ba sa nna aloof on that process because ga e ka nna ya ga go fela at some point wa go kela ka ska benefita batho ba maleba ke a leboga.
Thank you. Ntate ko morago.
Tumela. Lina ke Gauta Mototo and I'm a representative of Scave Gums, which is a youth local magazine which covers all of the creatives in terms of music, fashion.
Sorry, Ntate. Can you repeat, start from where you started, slowly? Yeah, Scave what, something.
I come from publication Ebituang Scave Gums, which is a local magazine. It covers local creatives for music, film, art. So my question is, will local media publications be allowed to cover the event? And then also in terms of advertising, will they also be able to be involved?
Next. Two more people. The last two. Kiba Ntati.
Thank you very much. My name is Tabang Murutla from Newsnote News Agency. Can you mentioned that the budget has dropped from 30 million rand to 10.5 million. Can you kindly give us the reasons as to why it had dropped? And confirm the mandate of the department for holding such an event when would say the country right now faces a lot of challenges in terms of providing service delivery. Thank you very much.
Right, my name is Mahikeng Maje, journalist for Taung Daily News. First question, Ntate Mkhorosi, we understand, or those are allegations that the owner of Showtime, Mr. Molefisi Laleng, actually he's the sole owner, or he does have the rights of this Mahikeng concept. So since the inception of this event, he has been the only one who has been appointed as the service provider. Does that happen because he's the sole owner of the concept, or maybe he did well during the bidding process? The other issue is the shifts of the dates. We know that Mahikeng is normally taking place in December, but now it's going to take place in March. Is it now the exact date, or it will be moved back to December in 2024? For now, thank you.
Thank you very much. We had the first round 5. We're gonna go into the second round after responses. So I'm going to start with the HOD to respond, and then Tate Mabe will come after.
All right. Thank you so much for the questions. It's like as a disclaimer in case honale matatanyana. It's like lebogele dipotso di tshwaelo, but I want to also appreciate the manner in which we're engaging on matters, being honest and frank, respectful, in an environment which is not hostile towards the hosting of the event. Responsive, outside the meeting just to get to understand the issues, probably even maybe before I came or during my tenure, but we'll deal with it. The local beneficiation, I said, is high optional, is compulsory. Ke utlwile sentle gore gona le boikuelo ba gore lefapha le ke gore le nne involved in the coordination. Re tla raise the service provider in our discussion. The budget cut, I think ya go araba Ntate Gaopalelwe le Thabang. As I said, 2020, when President announced lockdown regulations, I think it was on the 20th of March, mandatory lockdown in Isimula, the 31st of March, like level 5. The country as a whole had to make contributions for COVID-19 funding. We know that 500 billion was raised in the whole country. So some of the programs like this one, because of the lockdown regulations, you cannot have an event attended by more than 50 people and so forth and so forth. The budget must be redirected. The second reason why there's also cuts, as we all know, the country is facing a lot of crises across health and all sectors. So, Khalifapa lesa perform. The way tsamaiso ya puso ntseng ka teng, Khalifapa le filwe madi, lebele palwa ke go dirisa madi ao ka mabaka mangwe, whether the event was postponed, cancelled, whether there's a challenge ya bid, ko bofelong ba ngwaga madi ga a sa dirisiwa puso e na le tetla ya gore e ke e lebelele gore ka gore lefapha e kete ga le kgone mme go na le diprogramo tse dingwe go le gongwe tse di tlhokang madi a tsewa a isiwa kwa a tlhokiwang teng tota. Now ka ntlha ya gore ga ra kgona go hosta Mahikeng mo dingwageng tse di fetileng budget e ntse e fologa ya ke tlhalositse mme as I have also said now that we are back on track I'm quite confident that with my stay in the department, this budget is going to increase. I cannot say by how much, but we are going to work very hard for re buse selebo sa programa le gore lefapha generally, not only Mahikeng, re increase the allocation because across all programs, there has been a budget reduction across the department. It's public information. If you go to the annual reports, if you go to the reports that are tabled before the legislature, there has been budget cuts over the previous years. Mara ra go berega ka thata re dirisana le badiri mmogo ka nna gore re ke re leke gore re oketse le ba tsa karolo botlhe le bone ba re thuse ke ratile potso ya ga re maje ke tla boela go ba bangwe gore re tshintshile letlha go ya go go match ke ka ntlha gore ka December ga ra kgona go hosta a program mme ke le tlhogo ya lefapha ke ne ka tsa tshwetso ya gore go tlabe go ile go tlhoka maikarabelo gore ke letlelele gore madi a programe e a boele morago ka April while I still have an opportunity to host this program within the current financial year of which March is the last month. And why March? If you look at the cancellation of the bid in December, I re-advertised ka December, I think around the 11th. And as soon as it closes, o tshwanetse o alawe a period ya the evaluation, adjudication, appointment, preparation as a service provider. Go ya ka nna ke le nosi ba bang ba ka difara le nna. It is better hosting it in March unlike canceling it completely and losing the allocation and everybody loses. But that's my argument for and March being strategic around the Human Rights Day, a long weekend, probably we may not have the same attendance as it would have been in December, but it is better than not hosting the program at all, in my own assertion. On the issues, like Arabe, ke ratele ka tsela o re itsang dintlha o di lebile tota o sa tshabe ga re ka lebella ba ba rekileng tender document ga re ka lebella the evaluation criteria I think it's in page 19 and 20 of the terms of reference document e spela out a criteria now how we evaluate a bid I think re lebetse dilo di le tlhano re lebella pele the capacity in terms of key management personnel ona le ba badiri ba banang le bokgoni ba go tsamaisa event of this magnitude go batloa the CV of the people who would have done this work before sa bobedi go batloa a company profile ke tlhalosa for the benefit of other growing bidders who might not have the technical expertise of how evaluations are done. In the company profile, I think it's categorized for have you hosted small, medium, and large scale event of this magnitude. And then the evidence, the reference letters. Hostile flags of art festival, whoever na appointed for reference letter, why sign why it's in your bid. Points are allocated accordingly. Finally, another aspect, your capacity in terms of the logistics. Approach a rental company ke bidder for this event ke tlhoka 3-ton trucks we sign an SAA le bona gore ga nka tsamaya sentle ke tla go lisa mo go wena so those aspects on page 19 and 20 of the terms of reference when bidders respond they need to look at those specific items the evaluation criteria how many points are allocated for which specific criteria so that in your response you already know how to submit for instance it's a local person that has won the bid if it's only from outside the province there's no evidence of you either trading in the province or leasing a building or owning you automatically lose points in the evaluation because our focus is to benefit local people. The way in the evaluation, they are open and consistent for everyone. Now, whether they are customized towards a single person or not, that is not the view that I hold, but we respect that. Se ke ithang ke re ka ithuta go tswa mo go sone ke gore re lebelele the evaluation criteria, not only focus on the delivery of the program. An evaluation is threefold. The first aspect, which is your mandatory compliance. The first aspect of the process, did you comply with all the basic requirements of bidding? Completed documents, you have attached everything, blah, blah, blah. How fetsa, functionality, bidders know. Ke sorry gore ke bua mara ke thusa ba ba tswang ba tutu ga ba santsene ba ithuta go tsenya dikgwebo. On functionality, threshold are now 70%. So relevant all the 5 areas of evaluation, you get allocated, scored, evaluation committee members ba score individually, go average. If you have scored 70% and above, you proceed to the next stage, say evaluation, which is the price and triple BEE. Now, go level your preference points in terms of the criteria. And we were using, CFO, we were using a dispensation before the new dispensation, the SCM reform, for proper context and understanding. That's how the evaluation was done. Now, how bidder, please pay attention to this technical aspect of the bid, because some of the bidders, you might have a very compelling, convincing program, delivery of Mahikeng. Marobumisa on the compliance aspect or on the technical aspect of the evaluation. Unfortunately, the evaluation looks at the total completion of the bid itself. I hope I was not very technical. I apologize if I was. Yeah. A question around the same person winning all the time. Highly a competitive bid. Everybody has got the right to bid all the time. And if you apply the same process consistently across everyone, if the outcome says the same person, regrettably, there's not much I can do. The law ties me to an outcome of a due process which is consistent, fair, Section 217 of the Constitution, equitable, competitive, cost-effective, all those principles that you know better than I do. Kama so I've been last year, therefore, evaluation criteria outcome. 10 years, for 10 years. I'm just complying with what the law says. I can have much discretion. Honali proposal ka tsona titsinyo ya gore eseng gore mona go nyetlang re lebelle go advertiser different services ga ya bewa yalo mara ke kopa go e refine ne instead of one bid ya everything. Proposal ya re wireless a lebelle gore le advertise different services. Like if you look at security, advertise a security bid separately, catering. I think I hear the proposal. Let's go back. I cannot commit or promise that we will do that. There's some sense to it. It will only deal with the total coordination of the entire segmented bids. How do we deal with it? I think let's know the proposal, colleagues, and see if for future, if that cannot work. Whether local media, Kintate Mutoko Youth Magazine, whether the local media will be allowed for advertising, I think let's, yes or no. Let's wait for the services that will be advertised for local opportunities. I do know there's an aspect of marketing and communication in the bid, but can I not be definite and say yes or no now? We'll take your name, head of communication. We will communicate. The services will be advertised, and if it's advertised, definitely you are more than welcome to. Or covering the event should not be a problem. You don't need permission. You're advertising because now the cost, I think we can talk about it. But covering the event, and the team will be administering those who want to come, accreditation, the process that you know, that should not be a problem. Yeah, Tarang, I hope I have answered your question in relation to the reduction of budget over a period of time. You want confirmation of our mandate, I will give you our strategic plan. The mandate has not changed. We are responsible for arts, culture, sports, and recreation. Mahikeng responds to one of our strategic objectives, built from the National Development Plan, which is social cohesion and nation building. We are responsible for supporting artists in the province through creation of platforms for performances, whether visual or performing arts. That's why we've got a plethora of activities that we undertake in a program. So yes, definitely this event does contribute to our mandate. The fact that there are challenges in the country relating to unemployment, poverty, it confirms why we must do this event. You see, as we are gathered, we're discussing possible procurement opportunities for local people. On its own, that's a contribution towards fighting poverty. There are those who are going to get employment opportunities, albeit short term, but it will not be equal to nothing. So that's the reason why we also must continue. But what we must not do, it is to think that if there's a water problem, we must take budget of Mahikeng and go and solve the water problem. That will not happen. We will continue supporting the creative sector because we've got a constitutional obligation to ensure that this sector also survives, because artists are dependent mainly on the platforms created by government because of the circumstances and the economic conditions of the province. Yeah, allegations relating to the ownership. This one is an easy one. Mahikeng is a government brand. The intellectual property was registered by the service provider at the request of government contractually. If it happens that the bid is awarded to any person, we just cede the IP back to government. It is a contract. It cannot be disputed. It is done in terms of the intellectual property rights law. It is done in terms of the copyright. It is done in terms of the Patent Right Act. So the government ikupile the service provider at the inception to register it on behalf of government. Now, but there's a contract which I've also seen it with my eyes when I was signing the SLA, that should it become necessary, if I wake up tomorrow morning and we want it transferred back to government, we don't argue. We simply apply the law and cede back the IP to government. And the reason of the service provider being awarded, it is separate from the contractual arrangement in terms of the intellectual property right. Just for argument's sake, December, we did not award anyone, and we're not worried about the IP. And if it was somebody else who was successful now, we would have appointed that person and would cede the intellectual property of the registration back to government. So, Khakona matata ka ntlha eo. Yeah, gore the events ga di adequate mo ka modiri molema, I think ke potso ya ga Retato. The Northwest community, give me an opportunity. I'm the head of department. I'm here for 4 months. We have shown our intention with a very good statement to deliver. This is a second significant event in 4 months, and the sports awards coming. I believe that I don't want to speak a lot. I want to deliver, and so that my work can be seen in the public. Let's work together to try and rejuvenate this sector so that we create lots of events, because the more events we do, the lesser the complaints we'll have, because artists will have more opportunities. Currently, everybody will be flocking wanting to perform Mahikeng because it is the only event that is happening currently. Lastly, the date shift to March is not permanent. As I said, I wanted this event to happen in the current financial year, while the business people of this province deserve to get an opportunity, and the artists. In the new financial year, April, Mahikeng will be back to December as we know it. The circumstances that led me to postpone were as a result of the unfortunate incidents of us not being able to award because I had to protect the integrity of government and myself and not award a bid that had a lot of issues that I did not necessarily approve of. The next round. I will not, for purpose of the media, delegate my colleagues. I prefer to be held accountable alone. So they will speak to me back in the office, raise their issues. I will answer next time. Thanks.
Another round. Like start mo pele kere 1, 2, 3. Got the lady 4, and then 5. Maje, over the round it's okay. 5. All right. I remove Mike. Come on, Sosti. Okay.
Dumela motsadi. Dina la me ke Ramotswedi Ramutla.
ke tswa ko the Maftonian newspaper. Question aka ke gore, as we know with events of this magnitude, normally what we would see is that there will be a lineup at the Firstly, I would like to know how many of our artists from the province are going to be given opportunity to perform at this event? Or are we going to have a situation where we have so ne ke batla go botsa gone gore a ya go nna event gape ya Gauteng le KZN hostilwe mo Mahikeng kgotsa ya go nna a proudly Northwest. At least obviously we know we need crowd pullers, but how many of our artists, especially the local, that are going to be given opportunity? Not because I know when we give opportunity, more province would create another stage where and then the artists will perform there. Are we going to have our main artists on the main platform? I think I'll end there.
David Motsoloane, I'm from Letsolo News and Sports Eye newspaper. Yeah, I think my question is almost like a follow-up question. I'll need I can't say it, but it's like, keep it clear for exactly how this is gonna work. In terms of advertising, I understand everything is grouped to a service provider who is gonna do the whole work. We as the media people, we are not definitely benefiting from the project, especially when they are given to a service provider. In terms of advertising, you find not getting an advert. Maybe one print media might get an advert out of the whole event. So I just want to be clear on that. Is that thing still part of the main project? The other thing is about the covering of an event. We as the press media, there are events like it, as the program says, there are those who are happening maybe in Mabato, in Bokhosing and all other places, is the ones that we can cover because that there are no costs involved in that. In the main event, we are not really getting accreditation. I see this from the experience of the Mahikeng, fill up the Mahikeng Stadium. We never benefited. Almost we local people, we never been part of covering that event. We saw people from outside. So I just want to know in the monitoring process, is really that's gonna be looked at in a critical eye. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right. I'm from FM. I hear Honorable mentioned that there'll be gospel artist and Mabato FM. I hear that Honorable mentioned that there'll be Clap and Tab and gospel artists that will be partaking in this event. As the station, standing on behalf of the station to say, is it possible? Because we're the only radio station, gospel radio station, that plays half of the time all gospel artists that are around Mahikeng. May we be please be considered